Carpathian edition. I'm so excited to bring you this video today, give you my first impressions having lived with the vehicle for about a week now, and just talk to you about more things Defender. I know some of the repeat viewers of the channel know that this is my, it's hard to even keep track, I think this is my fourth Defender now of the new Defender lineup, new Defender as it were, that came to the United States. I ordered the vehicle around mid-September of 2022. I had a very early on allocation, ended up passing on the vehicle, having secured one early, and took delivery of something else in the meantime. I had gotten my Shelby at that time, and I had my Ram TRX, so I wasn't able to make room for this at this time. And I regret doing so, not having it sooner, because I absolutely love this vehicle, and I can't wait to talk to you all about it. Some of the ins and outs of the Defender, what sets it apart from the rest of the Defender lineup, being the V8 obviously. Sort of give you my impressions and tell you why I think the $121,000 price tag on the V8 Carpathian edition is worth every penny. So let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's talk a little bit about what is the Defender V8 Carpathian edition. Now, I've done a few videos on Land Rover Defender now, so I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of the respective trim levels and flavors of Defender. But just a basic understanding is you have 90, which is the two-door, the 110, which is the standard four-door, and now you have the 130, which is the extended wheelbase four-door. This is a Defender 110, which is the standard four-door variation. You can get the V8 in both the 90 and the 110. And in 90 and 110 respectively, you also have the Carpathian trim. What is the Carpathian trim? Essentially, what you get is, you get an Expel satin sort of stealth wrap over the Carpathian gray metallic paint from the factory. So this is a factory satin wrap. This is not paint that you see on the outside. I will cut to a clip now of sort of the outside finish and so on for you to see. It's a unique offering from the factory, having this satin wrap. There's only a few other makers that have really caught on to this or sort of launched this idea into the market. I think it's a great idea. I wish more manufacturers would do it. This is an Expel product. It is very high quality. It is self-healing. You can treat it just as a regular paint, so you can take it through your soft touch washes if you wish. I have a special sort of car wash that I trust all my vehicles with around me here in Metro Detroit. They have a sort of a patented feather touch technology that is safe for all paints. Ferraris, Lamborghinis, etc. I use the wash frequently. But it's a unique product. As I said, it gives you that paint protection, but it really gives you that awesome stealth look of the vehicle, and you could really fool a lot of people in it. It's very high quality, and it looks sort of like a satin paint, but it really sets off the Defender nicely. So in addition to that wrap, it is a two-tone vehicle. So underneath, as I said, there is the Carpathian gray metallic, but there's also Narvik black is the secondary color of the vehicle. And a lot of people would be mistaken and think that you could get the normal Defender V8 comes in a few different colors: Santorini black, white, Carpathian gray, and you can also get Lantau bronze. I didn't realize this until the other day. The Santorini black that you can get on the normal Defender V8 is not the same black that's on the Carpathian trim. So you get the Narvik black, which is a solid black, non-metallic, contrasted with that Carpathian satin wrap, which is interesting. So what else is on the Defender V8/V8 Carpathian that's not on the other lineup? So obviously you have that 5-liter V8 supercharged, well-known, tried, tested, and true in the Land Rover lineup. It's really obviously the reason that you're buying the Defender V8 is that engine. The 5-liter V8 makes 518 horsepower. I believe it's 461 pound-feet of torque, and it is just a legendary engine from Jaguar Land Rover. Some of the other products it's been in, particularly those under my own ownership. I had a Range Rover Sport Supercharged SVR. You can see that on the channel. That was a British Racing Green over tan with the carbon hood. Absolutely love that vehicle. F-Pace SVR and the Range Rover Sport Supercharged Dynamic that I also had, also heralded from that same unit. Things like the Project 8, the crazy Jaguar Super Saloon, also has this 5-liter supercharged V8, F-Type R, F-Type SVR, you name it. It's just a great motor, and it works really, really well in a lot of different trims, respectively, or models, respectively, I should say. Coupled to that 5-liter V8 is, of course, the 8-speed CF automatic. Absolutely love it. It's basically the closest thing that you can get to a dual clutch transmission that's just a regular torque converter. CF absolutely nails it. Paired with this 5-liter supercharged V8 is an absolute honey. It's great. It allows you very quick shifts It's smooth, doesn't jolt, it always seems to be grabbing the right gear, and it's also necessary because this Defender V8 has an 8,800 pound tow rating, so obviously you need something like that automatic as opposed to something for a dual clutch for towing capacity. The Defender V8 also has a couple more unique features. You have the aluminum paddle shifters here behind the steering wheel, which is totally covered in microfiber Alcantara. That's unique to the Defender V8 as well. You have the V8 illuminated tread plates that say V8 on them. Also unique to the Defender that you can't visualize without ripping off the shell is, of course, it has stiffened anti-roll bars, different suspension tuning for better chassis dynamics around corners and in performance-driven situations. It also has a bigger set of Brembo brakes. They're not available on the lower trims. That even includes things like the X Dynamic SE and so on. These are the biggest brakes that you can get on the Defender V8. It's much needed to stop this thing. This is a pretty chunky vehicle. The curb weight is somewhere around 5,800 pounds. This is no light SUV by any stretch, but it does get a move on, which I'll show you in a second. It is a lot of fun to drive despite its weight, and of course, as I said, that engine really gives it a lot of character. Not too much body roll, not bad in the right corner, so you can hear that supercharged V8. Sounds so good. You can hear a little bit of that whine, but it's just a very crisp, very rewarding noise that you get as the driver. Comes a turn here. This is a 25 mark turn. I am entering at 45, so it's not bad. Yeah, it feels really good. It's pretty flat. There's a tiny bit of roll, a little bit of that yaw, but like I said, the stiffened anti-roll bars and the way that the SVO engineers specifically developed this powertrain, the chassis, ECU, traction control, and all those things working together collectively really shines through on the Defender V8 when you're driving. It really reduces its weight, and it feels like something that's probably 1,000 pounds lighter than it really is. It's very, very interesting. And I'm just coming off the back of my Defender P400 110 that you may have seen on the channel, the Pangea green one, and this does feel, despite it's a little bit heavier with the V8 in here, but it does feel quite a bit lighter in the dynamic and handling department for sure. You can tell that the engineers really had their hand on this, and this is really is a unique offering in the lineup. So I mean, what do I love about the Defender V8? I really think, and I've spoken about this also with the F-Pace SVR, and obviously this is a very different vehicle, being sort of the off-road utility slash luxury place in the market. And this is, I think it sits uniquely in the market. I'll talk about some of the competitors in a second. But I really do think, and I said this about the Jaguar, is that this is really is a Swiss Army knife of a vehicle. And what I mean by that is that it really does everything well. It's very capable, both on and off-road, as I just demonstrated a little bit. Handles really well. The ride is fantastic. It has adjustable air suspension that has a class-leading off-road approach and departure angle when you have that suspension jacked up for off-road use. Obviously the 22-inch wheels are a bit of a laughing stock when you're talking about off-road capability, but you can actually option a smaller 20-inch wheel and off-road tire on the Defender V8 if you're really going to push this thing off-road. But the on-road capability and characteristics are awesome. It's really, really smooth. It feels like a Range Rover going down the road. Speaking of Range Rover, a lot of the touch points are very luxurious and remind you that this is a premium product from Land Rover. As I said, you have that microfiber Alcantara steering wheel. It feels awesome to the touch. It reminds you of something like a 458 Speciale driving it, funnily enough. It just feels very special. What else? Some of the door trim pieces and things like that are covered in this extended leather here. So you have the extended leather here up on the door sill, down to the door handle here. That's all covered in Napa fine leather, all the way up to the dash here, also extended leather package. But what reminds you that you're in the Defender, you have things like the exposed bolts on the door, which harkens back to the old Defender V8, you know, whether it be the NAS or Defenders going all the way back to the 40s in the UK, for that, going back true to its roots to that farm and utility van usage. So I like the way that the engineers and the designers really design this and set this up as an ode to the old Defender, even though you're getting all that performance and luxury in this new Defender. What I like about this Defender V8, and this is going to be surprising to some people, but I'm actually going to say the price. And the reason why I say that, so the Defender V8 starts at around $114,000 for the 110. The Carpathian V8 is $121,000, give or take, depending on how you option it. This one, I believe, was around $122,000 out the door. You can see some of the few extras that I put on this vehicle. The classic mud flaps, the spare wheel cover specifically, and I think that's about it. You can't really get much. They come pretty well loaded, sort of like the G-Wagon, and that of course gets me into the obvious comparison. What is the rival to the Defender V8? And that is the Mercedes-Benz G63. Really the only other vehicle, in my opinion, the G63 in the marketplace that has that capability and the dual personality of the brute performance, both on and off-road, and some of those luxury-oriented features. G550, of course, which is a little bit lower, but I would say that is more parallel to something like a Defender X. But the G63 now starts at $179,000, and that's with no options. They do come pretty well equipped. However, you're going to get the smaller 20-inch wheels. There's no Designo leather. It's not really that nicely appointed, bare bones as compared to the Defender V8. And yes, if you're looking at the seats, kind of a plain black leather. You know, it's not. You don't feel like you're draped in luxury like something at Bentley or Rolls-Royce. But there's enough unique features and creature comfort surrounding you to make you realize that you're in something special. And in my opinion, something like a G550, which starts at $40,000 more than the Defender V8, which is the highest trim that Land Rover offers. The G550 to me does not feel special for that price point. I think a G550 for 2023 starts right around $158,000 to $160,000. Those are pretty bare bones. Something like a G63 spec'd up to this level, Designo leather, 22-inch wheels, and so on, you're going to be looking at $200,000 to $210,000. And I just don't know if that is a vehicle worth getting that's $80,000 more than this Defender V8. Is it really that much more special? The jury's still out on that one. I guess it's for, I'd like to hear sort of what you think in the comments about that comparison. But when you look at that in the comparison to the market, I think that the Defender V8 really is a bang for the buck. Obviously, it's not cheap, being a $120,000 car plus, but as compared to its main rival, the G63, I think it's a great value. Really just love how the Defender V8 goes down the road. I talked about some of the comfort and so on. The U, it really is a very daily usable vehicle. You're always comfortable. You feel like you can take long trips in it. I think the entire family likes it, and it's just cool, right? I love the road presence. It gets a lot of good reaction from people. I had a ton of thumbs up, probably more than I've had in a long time driving a vehicle down the road. Right? It's an emotional experience, and that's really what the Defender V8 delivers in spades. It is a absolute win from that respect. It feels special. It is special, and it really has sort of that quality item aura to it. So summing up the Land Rover Defender V8 Carpathian Edition, having lived with it for about a week or so, I'd like to talk about some of the likes and dislikes of the Defender V8 thus far, starting off with a couple of dislikes. First dislike, you have to mention it very briefly, the gas mileage. It's appalling. I mean, that's very unsurprising. 518 horsepower supercharged V8. You have to pay to play. It's absolutely atrocious. It goes without saying, but it's worth mentioning. Second dislike, perhaps maybe you would like a little bit more of those luxury and trim features, something like a G63, etc. But as I said, you have to go back to the price point, and you have to look at what you're getting for the $121,000. I think that it is very well equipped for that price. You're getting a lot of great performance. You're getting a lot of the nice touch points. You have this very nice integrated infotainment system here. You have the drive mode selection, really cool. It's very customizable. Everything from dynamic to rock crawl mode to sand mode to snow, grass, mud, ruts, etc. There's a lot of great intuitive features that come and deliver on that performance for $121,000, specifically that 5-liter supercharged V with the dual piped exhaust out the back. It really is a great place to be. It's a visceral experience, but perhaps for $121,000, you would expect a few more creature comforts and luxurious features on the inside. Maybe, diamond stitch seats and the leather, things like that. This is a kind of plain perforated leather. Might get boring for some, but I'm not somebody that needs to be draped in ultimate luxury. I'm not really a Maybach GLS buyer, at least at this point in my life, so I just don't need those type of features. But perhaps some folks might be looking for those type of things at the price point. But going on to the likes of the Defender V8 Carpathian, and there are a ton. Number one being just the usability and the dual personality. You can drive this thing to work every day. You can take it off-roading. You can take it to the country club. It's going to be at the front of the line at the valet, should you wish. But it can really get down and dirty and give you the performance that you're demanding in a performance vehicle in this class and at this price point. And I really think, especially living in Michigan where I do, you can really have this thing as your sole vehicle. And it's going to entertain you. It's going to get you through any weather that's thrown at you, and you're going to enjoy it. It's going to have massive road presence. It's just a lot of fun. Number two, like, obviously, it's just the looks. I think that this thing, obviously looks are subjective, but I think this thing's drop dead gorgeous. I think it has a ton of road presence. I think that rivals something like the G63, perhaps even more so when it's finished in this satin protective film from the factory. Whether you like it or not, it gets a ton of attention, gets a lot of thumbs up. The third like, and the important one, is just the way that it goes down the road. It's comfortable when you want it to be, but you can really throw this thing into a corner and have a great time with it on the twisty roads, which is something that it sounds absolutely ridiculous for an SUV that weighs 5,800 pounds. But as I said, the beefed up anti-roll bars, the way that the SVO team tuned this Defender specifically to its powertrain, it really shines through well for the driver in his or her driving experience when you're taking this down the road, whether it's in a straight line at really fast speeds or around corners and technical roads. Coming up to some more twisty bits here, I already put the vehicle over to dynamic mode. You can immediately see the throttle actuation. It's a lot more aggressive. The steering stiffens up. You can feel that suspension stiffening. Let's just go around a couple of twisties here. A downshift. Let's go into fifth. Shifts are just instantaneous in dynamic mode, much faster, much more responsive. Like that steering gets really stiff. The head-up display is cool. It shows me my revs and my gears respectively with my speed. It's very intuitive, the HUD display on this vehicle. It's a very performance-oriented SUV, despite its primary use, the Defender in general, being an off-road vehicle, but the V8 is much more of an on-road weapon than it is an off-road, but it does maintain that dual personality, which, as I said, is unique. You really only have the G and the Wrangler 392 and things like that also maintain that dual personality. But this Defender V8 has been the best I've experienced of those in that category thus far. One of my other small little gripes with the car, and I have to put an asterisk next to this, because there aren't going to be very many V8s left in Defender in general, but in the industry as a whole. But I do have to say the sound is a little bit disappointing, and I'm only saying this because I've experienced a lot of JLR V8 products, and I can just have to say, I can tell that this is a little bit more muted. You can still have that growl, but this engine note is quite a bit more muted, number one, as compared to my F-Pace SVR that I had, and a little bit more muted than that Range Rover Sport SVR. And I was just hoping that it had a little bit more of that throat and growl. It doesn't really have that sort of loud pop and experience that you have that's generally characterful of those JLR V8s, like you have an F-Type SVR, for example, with some of the shotgun exhaust experiences like that, when you want it, of course. And of course it can be obnoxious that time and downright immature if you do it too much. But I would have liked a little bit more aggression out of the exhaust note in general, but it does sound pretty good. When you rev it, when the car's stopped and so on, you do have some of that those pops and bangs that you're looking for, but just a little bit too quiet for my liking. So I've really enjoyed my time thus far with my Defender V8 Carpathian. This is one that I plan to keep in the long run. I do plan on making some more content with this Defender V8, giving you sort of updates, how it fares reliability-wise, etc. So thank you for tuning in to the PCAF. Again, I'm your host, Preston. Thank you very much for your support and watching these videos. If you could give me a like and a subscribe, it'd be very much appreciated. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.